What a weird way to start.
Welcome, everybody, to the very first episode of What Sisters Grow, a podcast with me and my sister Bailey, who we are going to meet and learn all about today. I cannot wait to take you through this limited series podcast where we talk about Bailey being a new gardener, me being a seasoned gardener, all the differences we have. So without further ado, welcome, Bailey! First things first, we decided to be very structured about this. We are actually going to introduce each other. Bailey wrote an introduction about me. I wrote an introduction about Bailey. I'm going to start with Bailey's introduction because if you are watching this podcast, you probably already know who I am, but you don't know who I am through my sister's lens, who has known me my whole entire life. So I'm going to go first. This is my sister Bailey. Bailey is my older and wiser sister. She lives in Central Ohio, which is zone 6B for all you gardeners. I actually swear that she has hound sniffing abilities because when we were kids and teenagers, I used to sneak into her bedroom when I wasn't supposed to, and I would do my very best to not touch a damn thing. And she would still know I was in there. And I don't know how. I literally don't know how. So I don't know what kind of superhuman older sister powers she possesses, but they're intense and they work. She's more of a type A girly. But she's also a certified yoga instructor. So she's very in touch with that side of herself in addition to being a type A girly because Bailey's really all about balance. So that's my older sister, Bailey.
Thank you. Yes, what an introduction. Thank you for having me. This is very fun. I'm glad we finally got to do something together. Most of you already know Brooke, but she is my younger sister and by far the funnier and more interesting one between the two of us. She lives in Central Texas, which is zone 9A, I believe, with her husband, her new husband, nephew Cooper, and her other two dogs. When we were kids, Brooke and I were both very creative, but in different ways. Brooke loved to paint and draw, specifically animals, and I was way more into baking. We definitely both have creative spirits, but in very different ways. Brooke is definitely a free spirit, if that didn't come across in all of her content that you've seen thus far. But she does have very good boundaries and her own set of rules that she lives by, typically held together with twine and prayers, if we're all being honest. Thanks for having me.
Bring it back to the twine and prayers. You know what I mean?
Sometimes that's all you're holding on to. Twine and prayers.
Honestly, half the time my mental health is holding on to twine and prayers. I don't know how people out here have just mental health of steel, and I have twine and prayers. Yeah. But how we got here, so Bailey and I have thrown around doing something together a lot. We talk literally every day, sometimes multiple times a day. Some people might say it's emotional codependency. I just say we're sisters. If you have a sister, you probably understand. It was one of those things where, especially when we started talking about plants, I think it was you, Bailey, who were like, what if we did this and recorded it and put it out there for the world because this is funny. And I was like, yeah.
Well, I call you every day and then we trade all of the feralness. Can we talk about plants?
Can we talk? Excuse me. Are we done here? Can we talk about plants?
Can we talk about plants?
I've been joined.
That's one of the other dogs.
That is not nephew Cooper. Hi. So basically how this all started is Bailey called me and asked me the worst question you could possibly ask me. And it is, do you have any landscaping advice? And I said, oh, do I? I had just gotten this new software, the Epic Gardening Garden Planner software. I had literally just spent hours drawing and measuring my whole backyard, the whole visual of my backyard and my house and all this stuff. I was like, what are you thinking? What are you talking about, And it started with the front yard, which we'll talk about because I would love for you to share our plans. He just went running somewhere. I'm terrified. We'll share the plans. But then I thought to myself, so my sister is very refined, much more refined than my feral ass. And she loves flowers and she loves arranging flowers and all these beautiful things. Bailey's very good at this stuff. I took the liberty of designing a cottage style cut flower garden as a surprise. I basically just sent it to her and said, hey, something to consider.
Please say yes. Please say yes.
Please say yes. And how did you feel about that when you saw that, Bailey?
Definitely a little overwhelmed at first. We could talk about all the overwhelmedness in this world of gardening. But yeah, definitely a little overwhelmed at first. I can tell the story. We moved into our house in central Ohio last year. Definitely a house where it needs some work, right? It needs new flooring. There's just like stuff. We've had to repaint most of the house. One of the things was there were literally no bushes. There's like one bush remaining in the front yard. Yeah. And so it was a situation where you don't really know where to start, especially when you're starting to plan. Unless you have inspiration, you're kind of just looking at like a dirt patch and you're like, I don't know where to start. It was very helpful. I found it helpful because you gave me like a little bit of a vision of what we could possibly do, but it is really overwhelming and intimidating when you're kind of like, I have a lot of space to do a lot of stuff with, and where do I start, and how do you start designing those things?
Yeah, you told me about your neighbor with the pretty hydrangeas. I was like, I cannot let my sister be jealous of this person. That's not fair. I don't know if you know this yet, Bailey, but we are in a silent competition with your neighbor that I've never met.
They're so nice. They're the nicest people.
They're so nice. They're like, also, we're gonna win.
They're also the neighbors that have the really crazy lawnmower, the beautiful landscaping, the fresh flowers, and her hydrangea bush. I mean, it was beautiful because we moved in the summer, and I kept looking over there being like, oh my God, it's so pretty. Like, and we never were able to grow one at our prior house. So definitely had a lot of envy over the hydrangea bush, especially because once again, it's kind of like, where do you buy hydrangea? You know, do you just like go to the store and just buy a hydrangea bush and just like put it in the ground? Like, I didn't really know. So I was just looking at it from afar.
Yeah, pretty much. She's going down. So I hope she's ready for that. None of my neighbors care. Like, my neighbors really care that much about their front yard. They just don't want to deal with it. Yeah. So now that I have somebody to compete with that I don't know, and I really don't have any skin in this game at all, actually, I'm kind of excited about it. I was like, I cannot have my sister's yard one-upped by this lady with 3 hydrangea bushes. Like, okay, like, I get it. They're beautiful hydrangea bushes, but like, come on, you know? So we're going to get to know Bailey a little bit better. I have a list of 20 questions to ask Bailey because you guys know me, or if you don't, maybe we'll do 20 questions the other direction.
Yeah.
But we're going to do 20 questions. So Bailey, are you ready for 20 questions?
I'm a little scared, but I think I got this.
You don't have to elaborate on your answers. You can just mic drop it and we can move on.
I might do that.
Okay. I'm down for that.
Okay.
Could you watch every day?
Matt and I were talking about this last night. I love The Shape of Water. It's so good. I love that movie.
I don't even.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one. Oh, you know what? Harry Potter. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure, Harry Potter.
Which one?
I love the third one.
Do you?
Yeah, The Prisoner of Azkaban, because he finds his
That's when it starts to get a little dark.
It is, yeah. What's really
But he does find his family for the first time, so I get it.
The cinematography on that one was very good, which is interesting because it's a totally different director. It is when it starts to get dark, but there's still a little bit of lightheartedness. So yeah, probably Harry Potter.
Okay. Question number 2. What's your favorite sport to watch on TV? And what's your favorite sport to watch live?
My favorite sport to watch live is definitely hockey.
It's because I like to watch the fights.
No. The fights are way more exciting in person, I will say. But I genuinely enjoy watching the game of hockey in person because they're moving. First of all, they're huge, but they're moving at
so huge.
The coordination required is incredible. They have to move at such an amazing pace. They all skate backwards. It's really wild. I genuinely enjoy watching the game of hockey in person.
Cam played hockey his whole life, and him and I went ice skating one time. It was like whatever that fake ice stuff is that they put in Austin. I saw him skate and I was like, who are you? And then he was skating backwards and he got yelled at because you're not supposed to do that. And I was just, Cam, they're children and adults who don't know what they're doing. Yeah. Me. I was like, the amount of coordination you have to be like a good skater.
They're basically playing football on blades. So the fact that they
with
sticks that fast, that hard, and maintain their balance is really incredible. It's definitely hockey in person, for sure.
Okay, and what about on TV?
This is not gonna be a common answer.
That's okay. That's okay.
Olympic swimming. Look,
Cracks me up because it's like 10 seconds of thrill.
I know, but it's so exciting.
And what types of books do you like to read?
Definitely thrillers. That's probably my number one category. I'm definitely a thriller person. Not like a gory thriller person, to be clear.
No.
I like a good whodunit.
Like a mystery.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend like I haven't read the Sarah J. Maas series. I'm just not going to. And I hope your viewership is accepting of that. I kind of like it. And it's taken me 500 years to get through the Throne of Glass series, and I'm almost done. That's kind of what I'm into right now. It's usually a thriller. I like a good novel every once in a while.
All right. Which unconventional animal do you wish you could have as a pet?
A panda bear.
Oh, really? No judgment. Sorry, I've been zoos for too long.
There was so much judgment in the tone. What's wrong with the panda bear?
No, just bears in general are like giant, muscular 2-year-olds. You don't realize how strong they are. I volunteered at a bear sanctuary, and that is the most scared of an animal I've ever been in my life. And I used to like get on stage with full-grown cheetahs.
Yeah.
And bears are terrifying. What is one super specific museum you wish you could visit?
The Met.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
If you could get rid of any genre of music, what would it be? And why would it be mumble rap? I can't stand it. It's so bad.
I just don't listen to it, to be clear. So I'm at that age.
So get rid of it.
Well, no, I'm at that age where if I turn something on, I can very quickly figure out if I'm too old for it. Besides mumble rap, because apparently there's a right answer. Probably anything with a banjo. No offense to anybody, but anything with a banjo.
Offense to banjos.
I'd
Okay,
rather not.
all right.
I'm good.
It's a little, all right, doesn't itch the scratch inside your ear?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Would you rather have the ability to fly or the ability to teleport?
Teleport for sure. I hate heights and I'm super impatient. So it feels like the perfect thing for me.
Yeah, a woman who knows herself. Do you have any pets?
Yeah, 2 dogs. Shetland sheepdogs, yes. 2 Shelties.
They're fluffy.
Emma, Sadie, yes.
They're fluffy bears. And they're herding dogs.
They're
They like to herd Bailey, the mailman, and anybody that walks by the house.
anybody. They let us know if there is a leaf that flies the wrong way.
Right,
Yeah.
what is a skill you've always wanted to learn? Gardening.
I had a good answer to this.
And then I ruined it.
I mean, I do look, gardening has been a new fun skill to learn. I will say that. Speaking a different language fluently, like something like
Okay.
yeah, like fluent, but being very proficient.
What's your all-time favorite food?
I mean, bean and cheese burritos, but I'm not supposed to eat those because I'm lactose intolerant.
I can't eat them because I can't eat flour tortillas, and it's so sad.
So sad.
It's like somebody's like, eat a bean and cheese taco. I'm like, fuck you.
It's not. And here's the thing. Bean burritos, it's literally just refried beans and a tortilla, so I can't do that either.
I'm not gonna lie. Earlier for a snack, I heated up some refried beans and dipped tortilla chips in refried beans.
I do that. I literally had a burrito at dinner last night and ordered a side of refried beans.
Is Debbie gonna be so happy listening to this? Debbie's our mom. This is her doing. And it's on the bean and cheese burritos. There was always a debate when we got a little bit older from our dad. Could you make a bean and cheese burrito cheaper than Taco Bell? Because there was a time where bean and cheese burritos at Taco Bell were like 89 cents.
I was literally just going to say that they were 89 cents.
So my dad was pretty much like, you could make any food cheaper at home except for Taco Bell bean and cheese burritos.
Yeah.
And that tells you how many bean and cheese burritos we ate.
I mean, they're not cheaper now, I will say, because every time not that I go to Taco Bell very often anymore because I just don't.
Because we both have digestive problems.
It doesn't end well. Every time I go through there since college, the cost keeps going up. I'm like, man, remember when they were 89 cents? It's so sad.
What? Back in the day? What do you think the ultimate party theme would be?
I'm not a themed party person. I know. You and Cameron are like theme party people. I get it. But if I had to throw a themed party.
Yes.
I think it would be 90s themed and you were not allowed to bring your cell phone.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you would have to do the juicy couture sweatsuit or the low rise. You'd have to do the thing.
You'd have to do the thing.
And there would be no cell phones allowed.
Okay, I'm into it. What do you think the worst job out there is?
Am I allowed to say Jeffrey Epstein's old publicist?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Mine, nobody asked, but I'm going to answer. Being a middle school teacher without the use of corporal punishment sounds terrible.
Yeah.
I would need a paddle for that job. I'm going to be raw honest
about
that. What is the most beautiful place you've ever seen in person?
Zion National Park, probably. Either that or Maui. I love Maui. But Zion National Park was pretty incredible.
Indy's going to join us for a couple. Look, what's your favorite kind of weather?
The summer.
Sunny.
If I have the perfect weather, my butt is in the sand on a beach.
Okay.
Like, you know, sun, waves. Yep. That's perfect. Sunny, bright, blue sky days.
Would you survive a zombie apocalypse?
So I think it depends, because if we're talking like Mad Max apocalypse, I'm good. Like, I'm not interested. But if we're talking,
take me now.
But if we're talking,
if there was a safe colony I could make my way to, I would fight to get there.
Right. Yeah. I think the answer is yes. I think I can be scrappy.
There's some rage deep down inside
to get me through.
You know. Do you have a favorite type of exercise?
If you would have asked me a few years ago, it would have been yoga. I've been a practitioner for 10 years. I've been teaching for 5. But I recently started going to reformer Pilates, and I love it.
I think people who love Pilates that much just like to be in pain. I don't like to be yelled at, you know?
I don't know what Pilates class you were going to, but I haven't been yelled at yet.
They don't go to like, pulse, 1, 2, 3, hold it together, ladies. That shit doesn't happen to you?
There's instruction, but no yelling. Every once in a while, I get some strong suggestion. My instructor came over to me the other day. I'm like laying down on the reformer, and I decided whatever. She gave us an option to curl while we're extending our feet. She said it once. I didn't do it. She said it twice. I still didn't do it. Then all of a sudden she comes over and stands over top of me and says it a third time.
You know what she was telling you? She was like, bitch, I'm talking to you.
So
I am specifically talking to you.
I went ahead and started laughing. She could see me laughing and I sat up, but I do like it. It pushes you and it moves your body in different ways. I think as a yoga instructor, you already know how the class is sequenced, right? And so you're instructing other people to move their bodies, which can be very challenging. People sometimes generally don't have an idea of what's happening with their own body, like moving in space, but it's happening to me now in Pilates because it's something that I've never really done before. I've been going for 3 months now. So anyways, it was a couple of weeks ago. There's this motion called a teaser where you lay on the box and you have to bring yourself up into a high boat. And a couple of weeks ago, I was like flailing on the thing. And Kelly's, my instructor, is just like, what the fuck are you doing? She came over and tried to help me without putting her hands on me because you have like, the straps. And then today I go in and I did it just fine. So, sometimes it's just...
I'm proud of you. There's inspiration.
I am liking Pilates.
Do you believe in ghosts?
No, but I do believe in spirits.
Okay.
I don't think they're the same.
Are you good at solving puzzles?
Yes.
She's really good at solving puzzles.
I am.
Really, really good at solving puzzles. Do you sing in the shower?
No.
It out?
No, it's not my thing. Do you sing in the shower?
Yeah, I sing in the shower.
With or without music?
Oh, you gotta have the music. I'm married to a musician. So you gotta have something to harmonize against.
Okay.
That's why you have to play the music. You have to have something to harmonize against.
And
Cam's a musician, but I was also a musician. All right, last one. What's the first thing you do in the morning? Be honest.
I have a glass of water.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you look at your phone?
Yeah, my phone stays either in my office or downstairs, and I try really hard. I try to have a glass of water and get myself a cup of coffee before I look at my phone. It does not stay in the bedroom.
Honestly inspirational.
It's one of the few good
If there's
habits.
like one weird thing we've learned about you today, that's it. That you have a good relationship with your phone and sleeping.
I don't like it being in. Here's the deal.
Room.
I work a 9 to 5. That's usually like a 9 to 9. I'm too tempted. If I hear the emails going off, I'm way too tempted to read the work emails, to read the Slacks, to do all that stuff. So I just leave it downstairs. My whole family lives in Texas. So if there's an emergency, I can't take care of it till the morning anyway because I can't get on a plane. You know what I mean?
It's valid, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we've gotten to know Bailey, we are going to start going into our regular segments for the rest of the podcast. So we're not going to have to get to know Bailey again because we now know everything about her, except not at all, because we like to selectively share things on the internet. All right. First segment. Is this where I reveal that nobody really knows my last name because Morgan's not my last name? Surprise!
Do people think it's your last name?
My own husband, for the first 2 weeks we were dating, thought that was my last name. And then he had me in his phone.
Yeah.
For like, because he thought it was funny. Finally, I was like, I can't. We got to change this.
Yeah.
All right. So, first segment. What's growing on? Isn't that so cute?
I love it.
So, in this segment, we're going to go through what's going on in both of our gardens because we are in drastically different seasons, and growing different things. I'm going to go first so that Bailey can take a break since she just had to answer 20 questions. I am in Zone A, Central Texas. I need to plant my sad tomatoes. Why are they sad? It's a great question. Would love to tell you. I, like an idiot, was like, today's the day to harden off my tomatoes. Hardening off is when you take your plants from the inside to the outside. You're like, get used to it, buddy. You're going to live out here forever. Well, I did that on a day where we had 60-mile-an-hour winds. These little sheltered babies that had been in a closet with no wind got put to the test, and they all failed. Every single one.
I have questions about this choice.
I don't know who possessed my body that day, but it wasn't me.
Did you look at the weather?
I didn't.
Okay, we didn't do that.
I didn't do that.
My second, when you harden off, were you planning on having them out there all day? Like, do you not? Okay, you tier it.
Yes.
Okay.
So normally I set them out on my back porch where it gets 2 hours of sun and then the rest of the day is shade, right? Okay. And then I would bring them inside. And then the next day I would take them out and put them in a spot that's sunny all day and put them out there for like 4 hours. And then I would bring them inside. And then the third day I would put them out all day. Like, good luck. Some people will harden off in like smaller chunks.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people. We're getting this done as fast as possible. I had a really busy work day and I was running late and I had to get ready. I had to look nice. I put them out there at lunchtime. They had been out for 4 or 5 hours. And I looked outside and I was like, that doesn't look good. And I tried to bring them back to the back porch where there was less wind. And that was when they were like, oh, we don't have to be strong anymore. And they just died because their stems had snapped. Yeah, it was really bad. So I did have one tray of tomatoes left that I need to assess the damage and figure out. It might just be a year of acceptance, you know, of my choices. So that's what's happening in my world. I got my roses in the ground. I still have 2. I'm not as excited to do those. One of them, the hole's already dug. I just need to be a big girl and go do it, which will take like 5 minutes. The other one, I am planting like directly in clay soil.
Oh. Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to take an auger out there and like...
Yeah.
But I got to do it tomorrow because I got the roses 2 weeks ago and they say that you need to do it within 2 weeks of planting. So I'm against the timeline now. It's very fun and exciting.
Yay.
I am partnered with Heirloom Roses. They're an incredible company. You should go check them out. And we will leave all the coupon codes and links in the description. My fruit trees are waking up. This is really fun. I had a reel get really popular about pruning my trees, and there were a lot of men in the comments who were like, this girl doesn't know what she's doing. She pruned off all the branches with the fruit. Blah, blah. I'm here to tell you, there's plenty of blossoms. There's plenty of fruit. Men are the worst keyboard warriors. Men and the old ladies on the internet who don't like it that I cuss. I usually respond back to them and I say, this isn't fucking PBS.
Where do those two groups fall in comparison to the sunscreen friends?
I don't know, because the anti-sunscreen people were like a mixture of the two. It was like, people were kind of passive-aggressive about it. They would be like, oh my God, I'm so excited to start gardening, but like, you're getting cancer from your sunscreen. And I was like, are you okay?
Is that how you behave in real life?
Tell me that to my face. Anyways, moving on. I have an endless task list. It's like a note on my phone. And every time I'm checking stuff off the list, I look up and I'm like, I got 5 more things to add to the list. It's like, God damn it. We're just in that time of year here in Central Texas. If you're listening from another zone, the best way I can describe Central Texas is that we have a long time between freezes, but 2 very short growing seasons because of the heat. So the time that we have between freezes is like March until like December or sometimes January. Like, it's a long time. But we get taken out from July till September. Whereas you, in your zone, it's very different. So Bailey, you tell us what's growing on in your worlds. And I would love to hear not only like what's currently happening, but if you can lightly walk us through the plans for the front and back.
Yeah, in Central Ohio, it's definitely spring here and the weather's kind of all over the place. So Brooke just talked about how her time between freezes is quite long. Ours is quite short. As a result, for a lot of my stuff, I'm doing most of my seed starting inside. I'm not doing much direct sowing because I'll just be able to enjoy them for a little bit longer. Brooke's going to be visiting me in May to help me execute all said plans that I'll talk about here in just a moment. Putting them in the ground in May, things are going to start freezing at night and dying by October. It'll maximize the time I get to enjoy all the plants in the garden. We're doing seed starting indoors pretty much solely at this point. I did seed start my lavender, the delphiniums, echinacea, all my gomphrena, celosia,
Snaps,
coneflowers. We'll see how that goes. That might be like, that's the one I'm kind of like, that might be a failure point. Not really sure yet. So yeah, I've already seed started. I did 1 round a couple weeks ago and then 1 actually yesterday. So yeah, we're really excited about that, doing all the seed starting inside.
You talk about the lavender really quick. You just really glazed over that quickly. My sister, she has caught the bug hard. Like, she's now gone rogue. Like, I went rogue and I was like, here's a plan. She went rogue and she was like, I see you and I raise you 10. And did you text me? I think you texted me.
Yeah.
I think you texted me and you were like, hey, we're putting lavender in the front yard. So
right.
Like we can talk through the vibes for the front yard and then vibes for the backyard. We're putting lavender in the front yard because I was like, why do a regular hedge of plants when you could do a lavender hedge? Like, very Garden Answer style. If anybody watches Garden Answer, she has a lavender hedge that is gorge. So I just thought, we'll just buy lavender plants. That makes sense. She texted me one day. She goes, have you ever started lavender from seed? And I was like, no, and I can't help you. You have surpassed my level of expertise, so on your own. On your own.
Was that when you said to me, you're flying too close to the sun or something like that? It's about the lavender.
But the lavender was the first thing that germinated. It is like, you're doing the thing.
The lavender was the first one that germinated. I did that. the coneflower and the snapdragons all at the same time because they were like 10 to 12 weeks. And the lavender was the first one that germinated. It's by far doing the best. For those of you that follow Brooke's Instagram account, you will have seen the commentary about the pansies. This is my other thing recently. I'm not going to pretend like I didn't see Erin's notification about the pansy book that came out, and I'm not going to pretend like I didn't buy it, and I'm not going to pretend like I didn't order pansy seeds.
I literally posted our conversation, and I've had like 2 people reach out, and they were like, she read Erin's book.
Yeah, I totally
did. I was like, that's what happened because this shit came out of nowhere.
Look,
multiple people helped me figure out where this pansies of all things.
Look, I got the book. And I gotta be honest.
Listen, I support you.
The book's incredible, and the photos are beautiful. I love the content in it. I'm not all the way through it yet because I just got it in the mail yesterday, but I'm really excited. One of the things that I love about your account is that it makes gardening very accessible. It's not so scary. She's taking a very common plant, a pansy, and making it more interesting. Erin's helping her do that for sure. She was just on a podcast I was listening to the other day talking about her journey with the pansy and all those things. So I found it very inspirational. The variations that I got are absolutely beautiful. I'm super pumped about them. Know that not everything I grow is going to turn out great. You and I even talked about that with the gomphrena and the zinnias and mixing that in with doing other harder things. There's no reason that you shouldn't try something harder. The pansy might be a little bit more complicated to grow, but it's worth giving it a shot, and it's a very common plant.
Need some easy wins, right? Like
100%.
Cosmos, zinnias, snaps, easy wins. Easy.
Yep.
You're also going to grow peonies.
Yes.
And let's back up.
Yep.
Let's talk about the front yard. You don't need to go detailed or anything, but just the types of plants we're putting out there, the color scheme. Because, I don't give a shit about color scheme. I just, my backyard is like a vomit of different colors.
Yeah.
But that's something that's really important to you. So when we were designing your front yard, we had that theme in mind.
Our home is more of a colonial style, and we wanted to keep it a little traditional. We do have an HOA. But we wanted to keep it a little on the traditional side. So lavender, we're getting our roses through Heirloom Roses. We are doing Tranquility roses as well as other types of cream roses. We're excited because we've got red brick on the outside, similar to you. So it's going to be really nice white and green. And I think we're doing lilacs as well. So a little, honestly.
And hydrangeas, so we can be better than your neighbor.
White hydrangeas, yes. So we can start competing with the neighbor.
It's happy for you that you're landscaping, but we're going to win.
Well, I feel like we're going to come out of the woodwork. There's no landscaping in the front. And all of a sudden, there's going to be 8 rose bushes and hydrangea bushes and lilacs and lavender and all this stuff.
Oh, you got to have more than 3 hydrangeas. I don't know what to tell you.
So excited about that in the front and keeping it a little bit more on the traditional side, especially with curb appeal and things like that.
You're classy and refined.
In the backyard,
a lot of symmetry. A lot of symmetry.
Yeah.
We have 2 lilacs on either side. You have a walkway up to your front door.
Right.
So it's outside of the house, but then it's on this walkway. And so a lot of symmetry, a lot of that kind of stuff. Sorry, I got excited about it because I'm not a symmetrical kind of gal in my own space. So it does make me excited.
Well, and that's why I'm glad you brought that up, because once again, me being a little bit more refined, wanting it to be a little bit more, I don't know, just I wanted a refined, elegant curb appeal, especially because there is brick. I wanted to soften it a little bit. So the symmetry was really important to me in the front, which is what makes what we're doing in the back a lot more fun. That's where I let Brooke do cottage garden vibes and run with the ideas.
We're not chaos gardening.
No, we are not chaos gardening. I can't. No, every time I watch you do that.
I kind of hate it. I'm not going to lie. There's spaces where I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it's mostly only with flowers. I don't like doing it with vegetables.
Can you do that's a conversation for
we'll
time.
We'll talk about it in the next segment.
Okay. So the backyard, we're doing cottage garden styles, high density.
And it's all cutting flowers. Specifically
flowers.
For cutting. Yeah.
Totally. So that's where we're doing more of the snapdragons, delphiniums, the peony bushes, all of those sorts of things, cosmos. Yeah. So there's lots of different kind of flowers. And I'm also one of those people that, as I was going through and picking flowers, I was mood boarding the whole way through. If you're going to do your own cut flower garden, you want to make sure you like how everything looks together.
You prefer a bit of a softer color. You're not really whereas I'm a bold, You prefer much more soft colors.
I do.
She did get bit by the dahlia bug.
All I went into the store for yesterday was grow lights. That's all I needed. That was
That's
it.
not all she left with.
It's not. It was not. It was so not. I mean, like I sent Brooke a picture because they just had big boxes with the photos of the dahlias, and I was like, oh
Yep.
no, oh no.
It'll get you.
Look, I limited myself.
Two.
I took two Santa Claus dahlia tubers, gladiolas. They're wine and rosé.
Yes. Yep.
And then I got 2 seed packets of pansies, and then I proceeded to get my grow lights and very quickly leave because
Exit stage left.
Oh, God bless America. I was like, no, I got to get out of here. I already bought stuff, and I was really excited because I got tubers from a local place here in Central Ohio. I just need to be patient.
Patient.
Yeah.
I think that covered everything on your list. Are there any more garden updates for you?
Well, we're going to see what grows.
See what happens.
Just going to see how it goes.
All right, so our next segment is called The Best Thing I Learned This Week, and these are all gardening related things. So for me, I learned that chaos gardening can work. Now, even though I'm a bit of a free spirit, I am a very planned out garden kind of lady. In the fall, I tried to chaos garden root vegetables because everybody was like, it works. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. Granted, I was getting married, so things were kind of a disaster anyway. But it did not work. I wasted so many seeds chaos gardening, and I was like, I'm not doing this shit ever again. But then I got some seed packets that are called Made in the Shade, and they're from Botanical Interest, and they're specifically for shaded areas. And now they're popping up. So, like, I don't know if it's my path for veggies specifically, but I think I think I'm on board. But we'll see. It gives me anxiety. I like knowing what's going to pop up and where. Sometimes I'll go and fill the gaps. Mm-hmm. Like a packet of direct sow seeds that I'm just going to put in random places to fill some gaps. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, I like the straight rows.
Every time you chaos garden, it gives me a lot of anxiety, but I'm a very...
Type A girly.
I'm a type A girly, but I like being able to control how it's going to look. You and I talked a little about this when we were planning. You want higher stuff in the back, smaller stuff in the front, and you want to control where all that stuff goes. For me personally, chaos gardening, especially as a beginning gardener, I don't know whether you would recommend that, but I need to know where everything's at, like where I need to water.
Your cottage garden is designed like organized chaos, right?
Yeah.
It's purposeful. When you look at it, it's full of different colored blooms and there's stuff everywhere. We've got stuff in swags or mass plantings. There's a walkway through the middle of your cutting garden. We have the taller stuff in the back and then it gets shorter, but it's like planned. So what's the best thing you learned this week?
I'm learning all about pansies right now. She talks about it a little bit on the podcast in the books and stuff. When you think of pansies, it's like the yellow and the red and the purple ones that you get at the store, right? And they just
always look sad.
Yeah, for me, I like the softer colors and things. So as soon as I started doing research, they have these things called Japanese look like little fluffy hydrangea balls. They're the craziest things.
You were showing me and I was like mind blown.
So who knew that they could be so cool to grow? I'm still making my way through the book and learning. I ordered a few varieties to try and see how I do like growing them. And her book's really beautiful, so I at least have to give her props for that.
The best thing we learned this week is that pansies don't have to be sad.
They don't have to be sad. Honestly, I feel that way about any flower, because here's the other thing. When you and I first started working on the plan, I was very married to if a flower didn't come in a certain color that went with the motif, I wasn't going to plant it.
Yeah.
But now I see something and it makes me happy, and that's really more the driving force. Yesterday, I got those Santa Claus dahlia tubers because they're red and white. That was very much not the vibe. What's so funny about that, though, I showed them to Matt, my husband. He was so excited.
Isn't that fun when your husband gets excited?
He was so excited. He was like, those are called Santa Claus. They look like Santa Claus. I was like,
okay, your husband is kind of Buddy the Elf. He loves Christmas.
It just made it so much better. It was like so much joy. And then he was sharing in the joy, right? So like I am getting better about like if I see something and I love it and it brings me joy and it's not like an aesthetic Social media has us all fooled that like your life should look that way. That's a whole separate conversation, but I got outside of the aesthetic. So pansies, and here we are, pansies.
All right, so our next segment is jacked from one of my favorite podcasts, the New Heights podcast. I love that stupid podcast. I did start listening to it before Taylor Swift got involved. I would just like to state that publicly for the record. I don't know what it was. We grew up in Ohio. Bailey still lives in Ohio. I've got the whole like Ohio brothers playing in the Super Bowl thing. I thought they were funny and I wanted to learn more about football so I could like speak intelligently with my husband about football. And so we just ripped this from the New Heights episode. This section's called No Dumb Questions, where we answer some questions. For this week, I pulled some questions from my Instagram. If you have a question that you feel is a dumb question, the fact is there are no dumb questions, so leave it in the comments or DM me, and maybe we'll answer your no dumb question. So, the first question was off of a reel I made about planting roses because I explicitly said no granular fertilizer in the hole with the rose. Indy's back. Do we think he's just creating trouble out there?
For you to find later.
Okay, so this one says, I just planted a rose yesterday with granulated fertilizer, the kind with neem oil, pest, and disease control. Should I be digging her up? It's probably aggressive. So my answer to this is the reason that you don't want to plant new baby roses with granular fertilizer is to prevent root burn. So with own root roses, they are on their own roots rather than being on a root stalk. So it's kind of like a mullet. It's like business in the dirt, party up top. It's two different plants that are fused together. Whereas own root roses, it's the same plant the whole way through. So you want to be really specific about what you put with your roses so that you don't burn the roots. Because you want this plant to get nice and established. Because granular fertilizer, depending on what kind it is, potentially can be really aggressive and burn the roots. So would I dig it up? Honestly, probably not. I'm lazy. I'd be like, bonne chance. Hope you live. If it's a rose you super duper care about, I'd probably dig it up, and it hasn't rooted yet, so like you're not going to hurt it, and just try and scrape some of the granular fertilizer out. That being said, I planted a rose last year called a gold medal rose. I probably put rose tone fertilizer in the bottom of that hole when I planted it, and it's still alive. So I think it depends on the type of fertilizer. That's my answer to that no dumb question. Here's the next one. This in response to a video I did about soil amending. Mariah White asked, if you have mulch or straw on a bed already, do you have to move it to put down new soil, or do you add new soil right on top? So she's talking about composting, and if you put the new compost on top of the mulch, or if you rake back the mulch. My answer to that is either. It depends on what kind of mulch you use. I typically use a hardwood mulch that like takes a really long time to break down. So it would be hard for the water to get all the way through. I'd probably rake back what you can, recompost, fresh mulch. That would be my recommendation, but it really depends on the type of mulch. She did say straw. The compost could potentially go through the straw, but then your mulch isn't doing what it's supposed to do by protecting the compost. Right?
I don't know.
That maths. So, okay. Official What Sisters Grow recommendation, rake it back.
Rake it.
Rake it back.
Rake it.
Rake it. The next person who asked a question on my Instagram is actually an old friend of mine. Her name is Meg Pando. Shout out Meg. And she actually owns a craft cocktail bar that Bailey and her husband went to last week. And Meg's the coolest. So we love her. She said, and this is why I picked it for no dumb questions, stupid question, but what does the cardboard do? And this was in response to a video I did about establishing a rain garden. My way of establishing gardens and garden beds is I mow down as low as you can go. I lay down cardboard, put a paver or whatever you're going to use to contain the stuff, and then pile on top of the cardboard topsoil, compost, and the mulch. And that's how I establish my rain garden. So Meg's asking, why would you do the cardboard? Why wouldn't you just, do it without the cardboard? If you do it without the cardboard, you are just going to feed your grass a lot of really tasty compost and mulch, and the grass is just going to get stronger. If the goal is to eliminate the grass when you're establishing a garden bed, you want to put down something that's going to choke it out, which is the cardboard. So the way that you kill a plant, fun fact, one of the many ways you kill a plant is depriving it of light. One of that, because I know a lot of ways to kill plants. Everybody thinks I'm really good with plants.
Put them
3
outside.
times the amount of plants.
Put them outside on the windiest day.
Put them outside on the windiest day of the year and see what happens. Yeah, that's a great way to kill plants. The cardboard will snuff them out, right? So they get no light, because plants can't survive without light. So that's what the cardboard does, and that's why you put it down. And those are the no dumb questions.
Also, shout out to Meg. Your craft cocktail bar is awesome.
It's cool, right?
It's so good.
When I interned for her, we were going around restaurants in Columbus doing wine and paint.
It's so good.
And I was a social media intern.
Ooh, look at you now.
Look at me now, working in cybersecurity. So, our next segment. Because I am known for Feral Fridays. So we're going off the rails, fam. This is where we just go off the rails. What the most feral thing that happened to me this week is the next segment. Would you like to go first?
No.
I can go first if you want.
Yeah, you go.
The problem is I can't talk about the most feral shit that's happened to me this
neither.
week. Yo, I can't talk about the most feral shit that happened to me this week. If I talked about the most feral shit that happened to me, nobody would follow me. So, the most feral thing that happened to me this week is that recently I had to stop drinking coffee. My caffeine sensitivity has just over the years plummeted, and it's really tragic. So I had to learn how to use our espresso machine. Now, Cam is very good at making espresso. He got really into it to the point where I had to be like, yo, you know how you told me no more fruit trees? I'm going to tell you no more espresso accessories.
Okay.
There cannot be this many things that you need to make an espresso. It's impossible. One morning, I was relying on my husband to make me a latte every morning. What I read on the interwebs was that a shot of espresso has less caffeine than a cup of coffee, especially the way that we brew coffee, because we do very strong pour overs. Well, Cam had to go to the gym, which, rude. But fine. Cam does CrossFit, and he's very strong, and I don't understand how he does it. So he was making me lattes, and then I was on my own. He was kind enough to write out instructions for me on a note. So here I am, uncaffeinated, first thing in the morning. There are so many instructions. There's you got to grind it, and then you got to take the little thingy and get the clumps out, and then tamp it down, but you got to make sure you put even pressure to tamp it down. And then you got to lock it in. I got through all of the steps to make this goddamn latte, and then I couldn't figure out how to turn on the espresso machine. I couldn't find the power button. I didn't know. There's 3 buttons on the top, and I kept pressing them. I even unplugged it and plugged it back in. I was like, is this thing on? Why isn't it working?
Excuse me?
And then, because I have really aggressive screen time limits on everything, including my laptop, I go on my laptop because I can be faster on my laptop. Cam has my passcode so that we don't abuse our screen time, right? It works for us. Viewers, if it doesn't work for you, keep your comments to yourself. So I go, you know how you can ask for 1 more minute, and it doesn't make you put in a code? I was like, all right. I was like, game time. So I asked for 1 minute, and I Googled the setup instructions for the specific model of espresso machine.
Okay.
I found a YouTube video. The clock is ticking. My caffeination depends on this, and the clock is ticking.
Clear code.
I need the nuclear code now. And so I'm quickly scanning the video, trying to figure it out. Bailey?
No.
Right before the screen time limit ran out, I saw, it was like a movie. I saw the guy's hand go around the side of the machine, and then it was like, nope, no more for you. And I was like, I think I'm going to jump out my second story window and just see what happens. I didn't do that. I'm like, okay, just reach your hand around the side and see if there's a power button. The power button is flush with the effing machine. It doesn't stick out. So I had been running my hands all around this thing, and I couldn't find the power button because why would they make something where the power button doesn't, like, stick out? You have to press it in.
It's supposed to be that sleek, modern design.
So stupid.
I'm so happy for the sake of your sanity that you made it through that.
I think I would have just gotten in the car and found a latte. I'm going to be really honest with you. My patience was limited at that point.
I got to be really honest. We have a very standard, like...
normal?
There's a button.
Drip coffee.
Like, there's a button. And it says on and off. And it's in the front. And it's beveled. So you can see it.
It sticks out.
It sticks out. It's just a regular coffee pot and then an espresso. That's it. So I can't relate to what you're going through. It feels really aggressive, but some people like coffee can't be that much effort for me in the morning. I have so many other things that I have to take care of. That cannot be one of them. People who take the time to do that, they probably enjoy their coffee a lot more than I do. I'm just using it to get through the day. It's a support system.
I drank that latte feeling like a goddamn champion.
That's great. Maybe it's everything you needed that day. It was everything you needed.
It was. What was the most feral thing that happened to you this week?
We have our oldest dog, Emma. She is a white factor Sheltie, so she has a genetic mutation that makes her white. She was recently diagnosed with Copper's disease. She's a special needs dog. She's going to be 5 in April. We did a liver biopsy. She has to be on a new food and a medication. I work 9 to 5, and on Monday night, we just recently, we literally just found this out last week, and on Monday, I had to work past, I had a meeting at 5 o'clock. And I hear lots of rumbling downstairs when my door is shut because I'm in a meeting. We're trying to get her transitioned to this new food. And I hear all this commotion. So I go downstairs as soon as my meeting's over, and I'm like, is everything okay? You kind of freak out, like, do I want to come downstairs?
Yeah.
So I come downstairs. My husband, very nice man.
Sweet man.
Sweet man. This poor man is hanging on by a thread trying to get this dog to eat. She had been eating hard urinary care food and soft urinary care food together. Now she has to be on hard liver food with the soft liver food. He put her hard liver food and her soft liver food in there. This stuff stinks to high heaven. It does not smell good. Hills, if you're listening, I'm sorry. We should talk. It's bad.
It is really bad.
I wouldn't eat it. Yeah. For the viewers out there, we are talking about made-at-home dog foods. If you have thoughts, leave them in the comments, but be nice. She wouldn't eat it. Wouldn't even get close to it. She's 25 pounds. He then puts another scoop of her old dry food in there with the old wet food, which is soggy chicken stuff, mixes it all together. She's still not eating it. Then he pours chicken broth in there.
Everything but the kitchen sink.
There's like 2 full cups of food in this bowl, and I come downstairs.
Which is how much my 120-pound Great Dane Mastiff.
Yeah. I come downstairs and I look in the bowl, and you could just tell by the look on his face, he's holding on for dear life. I'm trying to let you have your meeting, feed the dog, and this is not going well. I was like, would you eat that? It looks nasty. I threw it out because we tried something else, and I sat down with her, and she finally ate, but holy Moses. I came downstairs and that was the most feral thing. I mean, figuring out how to get her to eat this food has been very stressful, but you could tell he was very stressed. Very stressed.
It was probably because I know Matt so well. It was like, okay, we're just going to try this thing. And then he was probably still so calm, and he was like, that's not working. We're going to try this other thing. And then he was probably like, you know what? I got an ace in the hole. It's called chicken broth.
Yeah.
And then the chicken broth didn't work, and that was the moment where he was like, I can't.
Panicking. I have nothing else.
Yeah, that was a feral moment. I think you texted me about it, and I was like, oh.
It's one of those moments where you're like, I'm proud of you for
I'm so proud of you.
I'm proud of you for trying, and I'm proud of you for making it through. I'm here now, so I just need you to go sit down.
I got it.
Yeah, it's all good.
Let me take over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's marriage, man. He had to do the same thing for me this morning because I was having a hard time getting her to eat to the point of like almost tears. And he came in and he just like put his hand on my shoulder and he's like, "Why don't you go find something else to do? Please excuse yourself from the vicinity. You're scaring the dogs."
Please put yourself away.
Yeah.
Please understand that you need to go to timeout. And don't make me put you there. I just need you to put yourself there. This was a longer episode because we needed to spend some time getting to know Bailey. Follow the podcast. We're going to put this out on Apple Podcasts or Apple Podcasts. You will find it under What Sisters Grow. Comment on the podcast post on What Brooke Grows, your no dumb questions, or if you just think we're cool, that's fun too. Leave us some love in a review, a comment, a share, a smoke signal, whatever suits your fancy. And thanks so much for listening. This is going to be a fun limited series. Like Bailey said, we're actually going to do the last episode of the limited series together when we plant Bailey's garden. It's going to be so fun. I will escape the heat for a few days and come to Ohio. All right. Do we end this like we end our phone calls? Love you, bye.
I don't know.
I don't know how we end this. Thanks so much for listening. Oh, wait. Duh. We'll see you next week. That's how you end it.
Yep.
I think we got it. We did it.
Did it.